this was in Florida when you had started doing all this stuff?
Yeah,
so
Fort Lauderdale.
So in Fort Lauderdale, you had a part-time life, as you said, a quote jock type of person.
Right.
So my question is, in the South and in like Florida, is there as much of like a stark difference between like what would be like the jock kids and like the alternative kids? Or is it like, since it's Florida, sports are more of like a normal thing?
I think it's probably very similar everywhere you go.
Okay.
Right? You had that divide. Like at that time, it wasn't quite that defined, right? They were known as heads, and those were people who would go to the smoking area and smoke a little weed and listen to Rush. Those were those people. And then you had people that played sports, or you had people that were performing arts, or you just had people that were just going to school. So those were kind of like the classifications. But you would have a lot of crossing over a little bit more than that. But there were divides, like your heads typically didn't get along with the athletes and vice versa, that type of thing. But it was never anything quite as much as like Fast Times at Ridgemont High.
Sure. Sure. I was just curious.
But it was similar time period.
Sure. I was just curious because of it being like Florida, and I was just wondering like what the social dynamics would be like in a place, like the Sunshine State or whatever the hell Florida is, right? Like if
I think everybody's parents usually try to get them into sports at that time, at least at that time, because music now and the arts is a lot more open, even though ironically enough they cut it back in school. But I think people are more open to that now than they were at that time. You were kind of on the fringe if you were trying to be in a band, in like the 10th or 11th grade in 1984.
Sure.
Or 1983.
Sure. In a lot of ways, I imagine like the subculture that it is these days was just starting to kind of blossom at that point in a lot of ways, especially for like heavier, more alternative styles of music. With, your relationship with sports, has it stuck with you in any way throughout the years? Are you still like a fan? You watch games at all, or are you kind of like removed from it?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no. I'm a huge sports fan. As a matter of fact, I have my Tom Brady, the GOAT. You see,
okay.
The 7 rings.
I see.
I am a Buccaneers fan for a long time. It's just ironic that Brady went there. I always admired him. I like great sports. I'm a big fan of football. And I do like baseball, but it's very difficult to get behind the Pirates, unfortunately, because they keep trading way out of town.
Fair enough.
I do like baseball as well.
I'm curious about, your relationship with sports and being like a performing artist in your own way. Is there kind of like that, like performing aspect that a lot of players have that draws you to it? Just like the larger than life personalities, just like kicking ass on the field. Is that like what you love? Like, what do you love about sports? Or just the game?
Well, I think the game itself, I'm always a fan of the game itself, but I think competitive nature, teamwork, working together, even in like work situations at my current job, I can tell people who've played team sports and who haven't, who understand and get the concept. When you're in a band with people, you can tell people who are a little more creative versus guys who are like part of the team, and part of the team usually always becomes a lot better, a tighter situation, a lot more creative long term.
Yeah.
But sometimes you have to sort of put your arms around the creative people to get them to understand that concept. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, you honestly like completely just fell right into the next question I was going to ask, which was just going to be, this relationship and this understanding of teamwork that you maybe learned through sports, being able to take that into the music and art world, I think is very, very crucial, because for whatever reason, there are a lot of people that kind of missed the teamwork memo in the music world, which I totally get, because I mean, a lot of like artists and musicians come from that sort of like introverted background, not necessarily team players, but they're really good at what they do. But then, when they start playing in bands, it's hard to get them to really connect and open up with each other. It's something that, I struggled with when I was starting to like make music with other people, and, having that teamwork and experience with it, I think is huge.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Eric, did you play any sports growing up?
I did. I actually tried pretty much everything except football because that was the one that my mom thought I would get killed at. So, but I probably spent the most amount of time actually playing soccer. I grew up playing soccer, and then I refereed, and then when my kids all went through, I got involved, like heavily involved on, the coaching side and stuff like that. So, I was pretty active in it.
You had mentioned also before about when you were playing drums and the Kiss band that you had to air quote quit because of, what was it? Your whitewater kayaking or something? What'd you say?
Yeah, I'm a kayaker, not whitewater. But what did he say?
He was kayaking with orcas.
Yeah,
off the coast of Alaska.
Yeah, not Alaska. Yeah, but I was, and we were doing kayaking in the Pacific Northwest and the Great Lakes and off of Maine and stuff like that. I'm a sea kayaker, an ocean kayaker.
Okay, so, that's what it was.
Not as much of a team sport, although, individually you're all in your own boats, but, we're all looking out for each other's lives.
Listen, I have never kayaked in my life, okay? But I'm going to tell you this. I already know that kayaking has to be a teamwork between you and the water.
Well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely. There's a lot of teamwork between you, the water.
Right? It's like you're like a teaming with Mother Earth. Like, keep me alive because I'm doing some unnecessary shit right now, but we're having fun.
And a little bit of Jesus, too.
Absolutely.